This is lesson 6, finding 100%, giving another percent. 42 students who play wind instruments represent 75% of the students who are in the band. How many students are in the band? In order to do this, we are using a modified double number line with percents. So here's how we're going to do this, okay? If I were to have a line graph like this, and this represents 100%, and this is 75%, I could actually block this off into 4 pieces, 4 quarters, if you will. And the 42 students who represent that, okay, 75% would be 3 out of the 4 blocks. Okay. So if 42 represent that right here, represent the 42, I can take the 42, divide that by 3. So each block represents 14 students. So because I have 4 blocks, I can take 4 times 4 to find out how many students are in the band total. That would be 56 students in the band. Because I'd be able to fit in each of these blocks 14 students. Next, Bob's Tire Outlet. Let me move this up here. Bob's Tire Outlet sold a record number of tires last month. One salesman sold 165 tires, which was 60% of the tires he sold in the month. What was the record number of tires sold? Well, if we do this, if we break this up, 60%, we could go by 20%, which would be 5 boxes. So if I break this up into 5 boxes, and this represents the 100%, and this represents the 60%. The 60% is 165. So right here is 165. So in those 3 boxes, if I take 165 and divide that by 3, each box would hold 55 tires. So to find out how many he sold for the entire month and what that record was, I could take that 55 and multiply it by 5, because there's 5 boxes, and find that he sold 275 for his record of that month. Okay. Next. Here we have Nick currently has 7,200 points in his fantasy baseball league, which is 20% more points than Adam. How many points does Adam have? Because Nick currently has more than what Adam has, then what we do is we assume Adam has the 100%. So we have Adam has 100%. And we split his up into fives. Because again, we go by 20%. Nick has 120% because he has 20% more. He has 20% more. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. So Nick has 7,200 points. So we can take that 7,200 points and divide that by the 6 boxes. So each box has 1,200 points. So to find out how many points Adam has, once I fill all these in, to find out how many points Adam has, because he has 5 boxes, we can take that 1,200, multiply it by 5, and find that Adam has 6,000 points. Our next problem, Kurt has driven 276 miles of his road trip, but he has 70% of the trip left to go, which means he's only gone 30%. How many more miles does Kurt have to drive to get to his destination? So he's only gone 30%. Well, if it's 70%, we can't go by 20s, we have to go by 10s, which means there's 10 boxes. So here's Kurt. So we've got to have 10 boxes here. Okay, and this is 100%. Now remember, he has 70% of the trip left to go, which means he's only gone 30%. So this 276 is as far as he's gone. So we can take that 276 and divide it by 3, which means each box is 92 miles. Okay, so now that each one is 92 miles, we can find out how far he has left to go. We can take the 92 miles and multiply that by 7 boxes because that's how far he's got left to go, which means he has 644 miles left to go. Now, Derek has a batting average of .250 at the end of his last baseball season, which means he got a hit 25% of the time he's up at bat. If he had 47 hits last season, how many times did he bat? Well, if he had 47 hits and he hit 25% of the time, what we can do there is we can actually, because 25%, okay, is quarters, or 4 every 4 times he gets up to bat there, we can actually kind of take this a little easy way out here, okay? And what we can do here is take this and say 47 times 4. And that would be 188. And simply because that would be 1, okay? And here's how we can do that. Here's for our boxes, okay? We'd be able to break that up into 4s, okay? That would be 25%. He gets 47. That's out of 1 box. Well, here it's for 4. So 47 times 4, he would get 188 hits. Okay, and that's how we get that. Now, Nelson used 35% of his savings account for a trip he used in May. If he used 140 of his savings account while on his class trip, how much money was in his savings account before the trip? Okay. So if you use 35, we have a little shortcut here, because what we can use is, because 35% we can go by 5s. If we use our boxes, there's an awful lot of boxes, you'd have to go by 20. But what we can do is we can actually use our facts to help us here. We have 35%, and we have well, we can actually do that. So we've got our 20. Okay. Now, 35%, which is 7 boxes. So we can divide that 140. And let's put our 7 right here. Okay. And we've got 13 more boxes to go. I'm not going to put them all out here because we should know how many there are. And out of that 7 boxes, we've got 140. So 140 divided by 7 is 20. Okay. So $20, okay, for each box. Okay. So $20. Oh, let me turn the light on. $20 for each box. And because there's 20 boxes, we can multiply that times 20. Therefore, there's $400 in the savings account before he went on the trip. Okay. All right. That ends our lesson for today.